So today we have two very special guests. We welcome back David Tian again.
Yeah, hello, I'm back.
And our friend Jared.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Now, Jared, of course, you're a businessman, but also an affiliate with a Valve venture. And today we want to continue to talk about the American election. I know we've been doing that the last couple of months, right, Lyra? And not forgetting Lyra, who is here. But I thought it's very interesting because, David, you're quite involved with the mainstream media, even, RTM interview and things like that.
Yeah.
And Jared, I believe you are, just now we're talking about what term, right? Influencer is still the term, but
Correct.
of course, from the perspective of business, and because of that, you're also involved with some entertainment industry.
Yeah.
And I think you're going for a band performance soon.
Yes, on the 1st of December.
Is it like in a venue or?
It's in Central Market. It's in a cafe.
Okay, a public
Correct.
performance.
Public performance. So I'll be doing 2 songs with the band.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting because we have personal hobby, we have personal interest, but it can just become an industry. And which kind of reminded me of a story, when people talk about not interested in politics, this is not for me. And I think this one African guy who is like, he asked the audience, do you all eat? Then everyone's like, what kind of question? Then he's like, well, if you eat, eating is a political issue. So it's like we want people to understand that it's not like we are very free here just talking about politics and things like that, but it affects us one way or another.
Correct. Yeah.
And now maybe just a very quick reaction first, because now you know that Lyra and myself, we are doing American election coverage, but just talking to both of you just now, and I realized that you also have been following the development quite kind of
closely,
right?
Yeah.
But just very quickly, do you agree that what happens in America, especially this election, also affects us?
Yes, of course.
Definitely.
Because some people felt like none of our business and things like that, but it does, right? But maybe both of you can just maybe David first, why do you think it affects us?
First of all, if Trump already come into power, and the tariff, the most hot topic, might absolutely affect Malaysia, whether for good or for bad. Another thing is USA undeniably is also the superpower until now. So Malaysia always affected by the superpower. So we cannot stand with really all into China or all into America. So we have to jaga to maneuver in this international society. So definitely affect our nation.
Kind of reminded me of what Tengku Zafrul was saying when he was in Peru, right? I thought among all the politicians, he was maybe the most measured. And he tries to spin it. No, actually one of the reasons we invited both of you is really right after the elections. Remember the reactions in the media, in Malaysia Kini, in the Malay Mail, all those, it's a very, very negative and very, well, Lyra, what's the word we use? They're not informed, right? It's like, this kind of vexed me a little bit. And so that's why I felt like, wow, it would be good to hear from the ground. So Zafrul was like that. And what about you, Jared? You are more in business and things like that, but it affects you also, right?
Definitely.
I mean, you do import-export stuff also.
Correct. If we have shipped items to the US before, and even before the elections, the exchange rate also changed, and that did also affect the demand for Malaysian products as well. So anticipating the tariffs that will be imposed and how our government reacts will be interesting to maneuver how to maneuver around this. And definitely, yes, we do get affected by whatever the policies of America. Yeah.
I mean, of course, from what we are hearing right now, I mean, the high percentage tariff. I mean, of course, some people still feel like it's a threat only for a better deal. But of course, they're looking at up to 60% for China, up to even 20% for Korea, Japan.
Yeah.
Now, it's very interesting that people don't realize that the tariff was also designed against Japan and Korea and Taiwan.
Yeah.
And supposedly allied. But, I think from Trump's perspective, they have taken advantage. But what about in Malaysia? What have you been hearing? Is tariff going to affect Malaysia export directly?
Malaysia export, because Malaysia is like we benefited from our export, right? And for we say trade war 1.0 after China kena all the tariff, and actually a lot of
manufacturing come here.
come to Malaysia.
Yes,
and
yes. That's what Zafrul was saying.
Yeah, Jafru also Liu Jingdong also mentioned that they say Malaysia's second tech off actually the trade war benefited Malaysia. But for long term, I don't know. But for short term, absolutely, we can see that.
Yeah.
So now after Trump come back to White House, we can expect another trade war. So another manufacturing move to Malaysia as well. So I think it will benefit Malaysia for short term.
Yeah.
Now, Gerald, of course, you are in, like technical kind of productions and motorbike and also factory. Did you see like maybe some of the parts factories are coming over here? I mean, I have some clients, some German clients, a few months ago, no, actually more than a couple of years ago, actually not a couple of years, a year ago, they set up a factory in anticipation of tariff. And they're like, if tariff happen, we'll just close the factory in China and operate fully from Malaysia.
Correct. From what I see in the automotive sector, China manufacturers are very aggressive and their brands are coming up so fast with the latest gadgets, bells and whistles that European bikes have. And production is not in shortage. The ones that we see in shortage are the Japanese brands. That one suffer pretty bad. But the China ones are just pushing and production. From what I heard, more and more dealers are becoming authorized dealers of these China brands instead of Japanese brands. So they can anticipate the deeper partnership with these China brands coming over. And also talking seconding what David was saying earlier regarding manufacturing coming to Malaysia. One of my family members, an in-law who works with a Chinese manufacturer, said exactly the same thing. His factory is expanding because China is closing and coming here as a middle part to continue export to the US. Yeah, so they are rerouting it all the way back.
Yeah, I mean the when we look at trade war 1.0, like Vietnam, Thailand, all those benefited. I mean short term. I think Zafrul mentioned something like short term 20B. I don't know USD or ringgit will come to Malaysia. I mean they have their own calculation and things like that. So that's a positive kind of thing. But the other thing I want to talk about is really, and I think Lyra, you can chip in a little bit also later on, which is the overall reaction, because personally I felt like people are not talking about this.
Correct.
I don't know, maybe Lyra, you can chip in. Like why do you think people are not following up? Is it like a news fatigue? Is it like, and because we want to talk about, the impact of celebrity and mainstream media, are people getting a bit tired with the American mainstream media and Malaysia mainstream media kind of sound very similar to them?
Well, I think it is more like maybe politician fatigue. I mean that's just my own perception. I mean, I'm not sure whether it's correct or not because I felt like our politicians, they are pretty much echoing what the mainstream media are really talking about, and now you are also seeing really a decline in the cable news. So I think that's where people are like generally, I mean, I'm just trying to survive here. I'm just trying to like maybe try to get into a pathway of prosperity. And yet here we have like a lot of politicians that are just really, I guess maybe because for the past year, they have really, really been focusing on the Middle East sort of agenda. And now you have Trump that is pro-Israel, then Abraham Accord and things like that. I felt like maybe the brain really goes a bit haywire because like for so long, they have been like really, really zooming into one cause, and suddenly you have that taken away.
Yeah, I mean, what's very interesting about the whole Palestine thing is you get some, I mean, David, of course, you're with DAP, right? You get some even from DAP who is on that side, which was a bit shocking, but of course, we're just talking about how, if you want the Malay market, you kind of had to do that. Oh, okay, I mean, I can understand that, but what's the to gain, right? I mean, but let's talk about mainstream media. I mean, maybe this is a question for you, David. Did you feel like maybe people are just getting the news from the same places?
I think just now you mentioned this term when Trump win, and then when Trump won, it's like people are not really like excited, or the feedback is like so steady. If you feel like there's nothing, but if we compare with the first term and a second term, during 2016, there's a era that a lot of micro KOL is not there yet. We still like believing in MSM, mainstream media, and they still have a lot of people still believe in them. And after that, people only realize, oh, Trump, this kind of people can win election, and we can see this kind of phenomenon in Europe. A lot of populists. Until now, we can see
it's not just Trump. It's
Italy,
correct.
Argentina, Holland, all the place, all over. Even Perikatan Nasional, we say is rising up. We cannot say all the people that voted for the populists is dumb. Are dumb. You cannot mention that because there's a logic behind there. So if we compare with 2016 and 2024, the surrounding changed a lot, and people tend to watch more influencer, KOL, TikTok to be their source of news. Compared with 2016. 2016, people still believing in mainstream media. So I think this kind of change of phenomena and change of social media play an important role because people are getting more used to that maybe some KOL I can listen and I can fact check by myself. It is not I rely on CNN, BBC to fact check, but I can fact check myself. So people, after comparing this, people are more getting used to that. And maybe so-called populist is really what the choice of the people.
Now it's very interesting. You all mentioned about influencer and of course KOL, which is KOL is like what does it stand for? Already?
Key
opinion
leader, right? Yeah. So that's but one of the thing now. Both of you, I know you're kind of involved with social media. Did you get your news from social media also?
Yes.
Most of it?
Yes,
like
most
Can I ask what platform you use to get your news mostly? That will kind of review your age.
A lot actually.
I mean main one. Or you are the multi one, you know.
For me, I think Facebook, I still look at Facebook, although they say it's like old man kind of platform. But now I use Instagram, TikTok, and sometimes I will go to the website, the news website to scroll through all the news.
Yeah.
How about
For me, it's
you?
Instagram and YouTube a lot. YouTube created shorts, which are 60-second videos in portrait mode. And you get a brief, quick summary very easily, very clearly. So yeah, I tune a lot to YouTube shorts, take on politics and all that. Yeah.
Now, from your observation in terms of receiving news, do people kind of just stick with the summary, or do they go to the article, the full article more? I mean, from your interaction, from your friends and things like that, is it like the 60-second is the news that they get?
For me, it's a compilation. I see a few alternative media influencers, and the ones that I have checked and trust, and usually all of them will say the same fact about a matter, about an issue. Yeah, and that helps me form. That's where that's my diet of information that I take usually. Yeah.
So then, if you're interested in a particular thing, you may go to the full article.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
But most of the time, people don't have time.
Most of the time,
read.
people don't have time to do that. Yeah. And I usually see the debate. I like to see Charlie Kirk's debates.
Oh,
yeah,
20%.
Yeah. Versus he
You mean the
versus
one at the campus one?
at the campus, we with students lining up, or or himself versus 20, and then the red flag thing and all that. Yeah. So yeah, for me, so knowing Charlie Kirk speaks a lot from facts, and he really knows what he's saying. So it's nice to see that happening in a very reasonable reasoning platform that he carries out with the audience. Yeah.
Now, it's very interesting you mentioned about Charlie Kirk, because later we're going to show a video, a video reaction. Okay, I think we will see the Whoopi Goldberg one first. Okay, the view, which is the second one. But I just want to use Charlie Kirk as an example, because now after Elon Musk bought over X, right? Twitter then changed to X just less than 1.5 years. And because before that, many people, including Charlie Kirk, was banned from Twitter.
Yeah.
So after that, all the quote unquote conservatives started to come back, and so that is one of the things that many people have said change the election. Now I want to just give you this background because I've just been thinking this for a while that the Democrat who lost this election, especially in 2016 and even in 2020, they had the advantage. They had Google, they have Meta, who was doing great censorship and things like that. So I just find it very absurd they would say that, well, the conservative have taken over the social media. You owned the social media.
Majority of it.
So, I mean, so what do you think of them? So maybe let's look at the Whoopi. So Whoopi Goldberg, of course, of The View.
Oh, no.
I can't remember already. Somebody. So Gerald, I think this one is the second video, okay?
This is
the second one.
Whoopi one, right?
Yeah, that's good.
Did you know that nearly 40% of young Americans get their news from social media influencers who skew towards the right, according to a new Pew report? Pew. There's also been a mass exodus from Elon Musk's social media site X. Over to the new site Blue Sky. So if this is the young generation's mainstream media, does it just intensify the echo chamber that is already cable news?
This comment was made on The View after election, okay? And I mean, my first reaction is this is so ridiculous because the left, you control the social media for the longest time.
Correct.
So what do you, I mean, I want to ask your reaction on this because you both of you, of course, have been on social media. Even the last election cycle, I think you were already there, right? So you observe certain things. I mean, I'm not a social media kind of guy, so I can't really comment. But my feeling was that, in fact, I was on Twitter for a while, then I kind of quit because I felt it's very toxic. But the last 6 months, I kind of came back to just for this cycle. I want to see like how has it changed. And in fact, now it has become like the way for me to find some news. Now, if I want to, this is my own personal experience, I can find very leftist, very liberal ideas also because they are not banned.
Correct.
In fact, most of them, they left because of, like, we call it rage quit or things like that. Right? But anyway, I want to ask you your view. You know, when she say that it become a conservative echo chamber, I mean, I find it very absurd. But what's your reaction to Whoopi here? Maybe Jared, you go first.
It's absurd because the liberals, the leftists, they own most of the platforms still. And
like Google, all those.
Yes, and when you Google search, even they said you can't even search Joe Rogan's interview with Trump on YouTube.
Correct.
Even that, you know, and they can say that the echo chamber of the conservatives is like a threat. I find it ridiculous because it's just insane how much censorship was imposed on conservatives media, you know, those with an alternative perspective towards what mainstream media wants you to swallow.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very unfair. It's crazy, and I think a lot of people are realizing that now. More people have come to their senses. You know, you can't hide for so long. If you hid well in the previous terms, I think the second term you will be shown for who you really are.
Yeah, as the saying goes, right? You can't fool all the people all the time.
Correct. Yeah, and we are in a generation where information is overload, and you can easily, like what you just said, you can easily find leftist perspective, and also you can find the opposite spectrum's perspective as well. It's easy. At the click of your fingers, at the touch of just 2 taps on your phone, you can just find anything available. Yeah. So we are not in a shortage of information. So for her to say something like this is just shooting yourself in the foot.
And that's exactly the thing they have been doing the last 8-9 years. You know, they've been doing it to conservative. And even very recently, right? I mean, Lara, we were just doing one of our show, and you can't even find, the events. You can't search Trump assassination on Google.
Yep.
Correct.
And then they had to come back and say, well, some moderator problem, some technical problem. But it just sounds so phony, right? Yeah. But anyway, David, what about you? You know, from the mainstream media point of view, you know?
I think they kind of, I see where she come from is she came from a...
I mean, because they got a kick in the butt this time. So
Yes, and she is very fearful. He's fearful that
So you sense fear.
The world will become like conservative world, and X becomes so right, so populist, so fascist, everything like.
Yeah.
But I wonder why they think like that. Is it they think that all the conservative they think of wrong thing? That it's like they have the self-righteous kind of things. It's like, oh, what the conservative consume are very, very bad. It's not good for country. It's not righteous. It's bad. I have a sense of these kind of things because he's like, oh, they are bad guy. We are good guys. So the world, if according to the conservative, it will going to be worse and worse. But according to us, it will going to be better. I feel like these kind of things after the comment of her.
Yeah, very interesting you say that because when you kind of break it down like that, it's almost like Whoopi is trying to say that we should have monopoly over the truth. And it's like now people don't believe our truth anymore.
Yeah.
But then the whole thing about politics, right? And Ira, maybe you can chip in here, is you want to compete based on idea, right?
Yeah.
And I think early on we wanted to show a clip also, Beyonce one. But I was just saying in a group, right? I say celebrity is like making my head very, very dizzy, right? But here's the thing, and maybe Lara, you can talk about this, and I think Jared, you can chip in also. It's like, do you feel like a lot of times celebrity come in and they try to persuade you based on feeling, emotions, and what's Kamala's initial campaign already? Joy, right? Joy, right?
Joy.
So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, joy, fine. Yeah, but what's your policy? You know, what's your strategy for economy? What's your strategy for our increasing debt?
Correct.
What's your strategy for all the lawfare and things like that? So, Lara, do you feel like they are just talking on emotion and no substance at all?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I guess even in the setting of like religious sort of setting, I mean, like talking about church.
It's a religion.
It is. I mean, so it's just like we are so used to an era where there's a lot of like smoke machine and even like skinny jeans. Like it's like it looks cool to appear to a whole group of congregation. So I guess like the church has been accommodating the world in a sense that they are following what the influencers are doing. So I think a lot of conformity has been happening like cross. I mean both era. So I felt like it's like the religion has crossed into the entertainment, and entertainment has sort of like trying to come over as well to that religion perspective, whereby I preach a thing and you shall believe that it is the truth. So I felt like because of that, the celebrity, maybe they felt like even like George Clooney and those sort of people, they felt like I've earned my right to preach to you.
To lecture you, right?
Exactly. So what I say must stand. So I guess they have come to a perspective whereby maybe they have had certain, I don't know, cancellation before and things like that, or maybe they are like the bullies, but really like just imposing those sort of belief system on other people, or maybe they have bought into the lie for so long that they themselves really, really just become the lie. So I felt like there's also a lot of that portion that is happening. So I mean, obviously you have those two camps of the celebrities where one camp is like maybe they are literally bought over by Kamala Harris. I mean, you have her campaign in a deficit. I mean, there are certain groups of people that are in that category. So I guess that's why like Taylor Swift, I mean, her ticket sales like just plummeted. I mean, like you can used to sell for like maybe 1,000 a ticket, then suddenly now you can get it for like $700-800. So that means the demand is not there because after the election, people felt like, hey, where's your credibility? I mean, I like your songs, but I don't need you preaching how I'm gonna vote. And she also did it like very half-heartedly, sort of. So I guess like even with Beyonce, people
Make
were
your
like
own
just
choice.
anticipating that, hey, I'm here to listen to the
She's gonna
concert,
perform.
and hey,
she didn't perform.
exactly. So she didn't perform. So
Yeah.
that sort of thing. I guess these were the smarter celebrity. Like you don't get yourself in too deep. Whereas you have certain people like George Clooney. I think he's really in a sort of like deep ends because he was the one. Because I guess the whole Democrats have been pushing for the narrative whereby, hey, it's because Joe Biden dropped out so late, therefore we lost. So I guess there's that sort of component, and he was like the main influencer celebrity that was like calling publicly for Joe Biden to drop
He became
out.
the scapegoat, right? I mean, Clooney. And that's the thing. You know, Gerald was just talking earlier on, and we talk about the local entertainment celebrity scene, and I mean, of course, we talk about even Perikatan National with Green Wave. You have a lot of influencer, but I think we kind of agree that a lot of the influencers not really entertainment, more political, more religious, more kind of influencer.
Yeah.
But what's your point of view? Because in this postmodern era, right? People, or I don't want to use a woke era because somehow I think the word is kind of expired already. But people are like, well, I mean, we look at another example like LeBron James like that, and now of course became so quiet.
Yeah.
I mean, NBA, a lot of them are like Steve Kerr, they all are like now just totally quiet. But they are like, well, I should use my position of influence to influence. But then you have the other argument. Hey, I bought tickets to see you perform, not for you to preach.
Correct.
So where do you stand on this personally? You know, is there any moment or any particular scenario where you feel like maybe it will be justifiable? You know, if you stand for particular positions, you know, I'm anti-war, I'm anti-abortion.
Correct.
You know, what's your personal take on this?
Yeah, I've seen people, and when celebrities or singers, actors, that you know when they speak from the heart, you know they are real and genuine. And I think the audience and their listeners can detect that. And when you're faking it, or when you are just speaking from a teleprompter, people can know. And when the teleprompter breaks down, it's even worse.
Which happened.
Which happened. And
It's very bad.
It's very bad. And when you get people like, okay, for example, actors in the Hollywood that I can remember one, Chris Pratt, outspoken Christian. He makes, and another one is Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, these guys really live their lives, you know, with their sleeves up front. So they are not one person here and another person there. People know their life. So they get shot maybe for what their faith is, but not for the hypocrite they are. But I think that the issue that I notice is that when celebrities become hypocritical, when it's not you, and when you speak something that is not you, it's so detectable. And as a musician myself, I like music, and music is to entertain your soul. But to speak to your head is another thing. You know, I want you to soothe my soul. I want you to make me feel good. But when I want to listen to facts. I want to listen to technical stuff, policies that will make the country better, that will make this country prosper. You know, will rid this country of corruption, bureaucracy, and all that. You know, it must be technical, and that has to go straight to the head.
Yep.
And celebrities are not known to do that. Singers are the last person you want to go for advice. Even in Malaysia, you know, morality is out of the window. You know, principles are out of the window. Hollywood and Malaysia. So when a celebrity who has had it has been a hypocrite, for example, Jennifer Lopez endorsing Kamala, and
that was a bad speech.
So bad. Yeah, and they say you didn't warn us about Diddy, and now you're warning us about Trump. You know what? How can we even rely on you? So these kind of things, and people know she's an actress.
That's a good point.
She can cry on screen. You put an actress up there, and to put an emotional expression out there, it won't work. And furthermore, Jennifer Lopez's last concert was so empty. They couldn't sell all the tickets. If you see the stadium, the auditorium, half above empty, and she's just performing to such a low capacity audience. Yeah, so that's sad. And they use her some more to endorse Harris. Yeah,
that's a really, really good point, because I mean, in general, you know, arts and entertainment, people are actor. You know, they are co-actor, and it's like you're putting out performance. But of course, I mean, just from hearing from you, you know, there will be exception when people are giving something that truly comes out from their hearts. Then that's a testimony, and nobody can take that away. And sometimes you see that very powerfully, you know, an event that impacted their life. And people can tell, right? People can tell.
One famous, in our local scene, from what I remember, an Malay artist, a rapper. His name is Ultimate.
Ultimate.
Yeah, Ultima,
he's
You're
outspoken.
a politician.
Yeah, politician. From artist to so he didn't hide anything. You
Yeah.
know, he's like upfront. You know, I'm supporting this. These are my principles. Why I support PH and all of that. So yeah, and you rarely get people hantaming him.
Correct.
Yeah, so because they know you are speaking genuinely, you know, I think he's a pretty devout religious guy as well now. Yeah, and he did good music. So reputational wise, he didn't have big scandals that tarnishes his image and all of that. So yeah, there are principles that if you carry from the beginning and people know, this is the guy that stands by them. You know, he stands for this or he doesn't stand for that, and you carry that on and you speak it later on, in a later part of your performance or your gig or on a speech. I think that's very okay.
Yeah.
I think that's very okay. Yeah.
And of course, if it becomes your passions and you really go and research, then you know what you're talking about. It's
Correct.
fine.
Yeah,
You know,
correct.
like one of the example people always say is like LeBron. You know, LeBron just basically he's very good parrot. You know, but it doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
You know, like someone like Charlie Kirk we talk about.
Yeah.
He doesn't even go to university, but he do a lot of research. He is prepared to receive feedback and things like that.
Yes.
So when people develop a message, then it's okay. But if you are like just parroting, I think it gives a bad name to entertainment.
Yeah, like what
right?
we say like in Malay, kantoi lah, sure kantoi. Sure kantoi, yeah. And you kantoi big time.
And we're not paying to
Yeah.
be preached, right?
Correct. No one wants to hear you lecture into their lives about their moral issues, you know, and all of that. Yeah. Sing to me, perform to me, make me feel good. Yeah. Perform, give me a good performance, give me a good show. That's what I want from you. I think that's the main role an entertainer, a musician or singer plays. Yeah.
Now, do you feel like with this reckoning, right? I mean, basically, it's like a hantam back to their face. Do you think they will change? Do you think Hollywood will change?
If they are smart, they will change. Yeah,
They should, right?
They should, because it's not working, and I think this is the biggest defeat ever.
Yeah.
Popular vote, electoral college, Senate, and also the House.
Yeah.
If I'm mistaken. Yeah. So it's total sapu of everything.
Yeah.
That that didn't happen before. Now it's happening, and if you want to see a strategy that works, this is the strategy that the Republicans use, and it works. Yeah.
Now, David, I want to move into because we focus on entertainment now. Come back to mainstream media, and one of the topic which I wasn't thinking, but suddenly I thought about it: polling.
Okay.
And you know, polling basically, you know, Lara, we have been talking about polling and how it has been forever wrong the last 10 years. In fact, many polls have been very, very off ever since Brexit because people don't want to say things. But I want to talk about polling a little bit because the result again show that the polls underestimated Trump again.
Yeah.
Now, why do you? Now, I want to ask you, why do you think it is? Is it because people are just, you know, they're conditioned to mainstream media? There's a particular message, and they felt like, you know, we control ABC, we control Disney, we control Google, we control whatever. Like here, you'll be like, you control all the media, and that's what people read. And maybe because of that, they are confident they can control the numbers.
I think we used to live in an era that there's a higher power to control everything after the modernization.
The media, the big media.
But this election remind me that actually the wisdom of the founding fathers of America is like the freedom of speech. Because like postmodern era, just I mentioned that some leftists, they really think that we need to have big government to control, to censor, to lecture people how to behave. But after that, you can see the mass, the people will really like, they have the wisdom there. There's a wisdom in the freedom of speech. So back to the poll, this afternoon I have a conversation with a media people. He's like, oh, if you want to do the poll, actually we can do. But if you want to do the poll and just impress your boss, what is the point? I'm like, and that people add on. It's like, last time also have some people want to do the poll and impress his boss. I'm like, okay. I kind of heard these kind of things because at the end it's about business. They want to earn money. They want to earn a saving to live their life. So it's very easily manipulated. And I study political science, and we know that it's always have the margin of error. And it always easily manipulated, easily. And even some of the very big polling center in Malaysia, they say they have their own formula to calculate but they kind of is more accurate. But if we look at America, it's far beyond estimation. So I think we have to really study, if you in a political science or point, you really need to look into why people, you cannot expect how people react. And another point is, just now when you asked the question, I'm thinking of, if strangers call you, hey Simon, who do you want to vote for? Would you really answer sincerely? The stranger's the first time call, you won't, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
Private matter.
always the poll that they will ask a question is like, do you think the country is heading in a wrong direction? And most probably people will say yes. I mean, they think the country is heading to the wrong direction because we always didn't satisfy of the current situation. So it's really, especially just now Gerard mentioned that is the information is out there.
Yep.
So people will be more mature. Last time the leftists will think, oh, we are there's a conservative echo chamber. Actually, they have a leftist echo chamber.
In fact, they started the echo chamber first,
Yep.
and they still control everything. But here's the thing: like this round, do you? I mean, many people contributed to Elon Musk and ads. Do you think that is the biggest factor why people are able to do that, or is it just generally social media? I mean, for example, we look at TikTok. I mean, a lot of Western people criticize TikTok. But of course, TikTok, as long as you are not going against China CCP, I think most of your content is a go, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, is it all these different parts coming together to allow people to have more choices?
I think yes. Interestingly, you mentioned TikTok because Trump is the one who want to ban TikTok at first term, and now he is using that. So he know that if he want to win the election, he have to use some the tools.
And now he's saying he may not ban it some more. Yeah.
Actually, one of the things I observe about Trump is that he's like use all the platforms.
Yeah.
You know, like ads, like I mean, of course, he has his own Truth Social,
Truth Social.
but he used TikTok also,
Yes.
use
Yeah.
Insta also,
More.
Facebook
Yeah.
also,
Yeah.
typical press, typical ads. So it's like you use everything.
All.
Yeah, because if according to the leftists, just now we mentioned the echo chamber. If we think about in this narrative, actually different platform is different echo chamber. If you want to win, you have to go into every echo chamber.
Yeah.
So I think Charlie Kirk also mentioned that what their strategy in Arizona is they want to register the fence sitter.
Yeah.
They register as much as they can to become Republican. Because if you want to register as a voter, you have to choose your
party.
Republican to the party. So that's why we see that Arizona can win beautifully.
Yep.
So I think if you think in a way of strategy instead of feeling, oh, they're echo chamber, I don't want to bother them. I'm so mad
I
of
want to
them.
shut them down.
I want to shut them down.
Yeah.
Actually, you can win an election.
Yeah,
I think back to the Democrats feeling, they are more like they are very very panicked because actually you see Kamala Harris is cannot function.
Yeah.
And
They should compete on merits, but they don't want to do it.
yeah, because I believe they know they cannot compete with merit. So they found an easier way that you can use celebrity. I think it's not
Compete on
their best
feeling.
choice. they,
Good feeling.
Emotion.
they only can try their best because they are in a very lousy situation in that stance.
Now I want to talk a little bit more about poll because now it's very interesting because you know one of the most well-known poster, right? Ned Silver. Ned Silver 538, right? I think
Yep.
he's like even Matthew Boyd from Breitbart was saying that Ned Silver is probably the most accurate poster. But anyway, a few days ago, I'm trying to find an article just now, but I can't find. And the title of the article is "Why the Problem Is Not with the Polls." Anyway, he's still trying to defend it. But you mentioned the Arizona one, which is very interesting because Turning Point, of course, you see the conventional strategy for elections, the big campaign donor, the big consultant will be like, while you have one group for maybe Republican, you have one group for Democrat, then you have the middle voter. So same like maybe in Malaysia, we have Perikatan, we have Harapan. Then it's a fence sitter that you need to go and get.
Yeah.
So that's a conventional wisdom in America for the last 50, 60 years. But then based on their data, they realize that actually we have more people who didn't even vote. but maybe they are more they are more sympathetic to Trump's policy. So I think Charlie Kirk and team, I think Tyler Bauer, they started to say, why don't we focus on these people? Because if we go to try to get the other side to come over, it's like very difficult. You go to talk to a housewife, maybe you have to meet them 30 times and they're still like, I prefer the joy, So anyway, they went there and I think they got a lot of early votes. So
I think 50,000 or something like that.
yeah, it's a lot. So what I'm trying to say is that maybe there's still a place for poll. I mean, maybe the word is not poll. The word is analytic. Because, I mean, we're all sports fans, right? You know, Liverpool or whatever. And I mean, sports is ruled by analytics. You know, how many kicks you go there, and then after the whole training or match, the coach will be like, why are you always using your left foot only? Didn't even realize the data already show you. So maybe there's something. I know in Malaysia it's not a big industry. In US it's $1 billion industry. Polling.
I once have a conversation with a poll guy in Malaysia. He's like, the most accurate poll actually is an election result. I'm like,
it used to be.
I'm like, what he want to mention? I'm like, because actually the poll can only express what is happened at the exact time, which means that if you want to do the poll 1 week before, it only shows the result 1 week at that time. So even in 1 week can change a lot. I think the momentum of Trump actually have built on, because if you really look at the poll, actually all the swing state he actually he get the swing state, but we don't. I think some of the state is like Michigan or Wisconsin actually still quite close. But Pennsylvania and North Carolina is like crazy.
It's a kind of like that's like a very comfortable win.
Even the Senate in Pennsylvania, the Republican also got right. Senate.
Yes, I think they just finally the guy just conceded.
So I'm like, poll can explain what is happening, but they cannot predict. I think we kind of use poll to predict. I don't think we can predict by polls, but we can analyze from poll.
Did you read the news about Poly Market is a crypto betting site? So one French guy bet 40 million. Because he went to look at the New York, the Siena New York Times poll, and he looked at how they manipulated the data. So he knew already the mainstream media polls are off. So he bet 40 million for Trump to win Electoral College and popular vote.
Wow.
He said popular vote he has 60%. He said Electoral College he felt like he has 90% of winning. So he won. I think his winning was 23 million or something.
Wow.
You can actually bet.
Correct.
But anyway, I mean, we have one more video we want to look at. Again, okay, this one is now before. Wait. So now this one again we're talking about how people are shaped by mainstream media, and I think Lyra, you chose this clip, right?
Yep.
And because like when people talk about borders. People are like, oh, come on, how serious can it be, right? Some Mexican coming with some cactus and things like that. But really, people who are there and the Latino really shifted. So this is one of the very interesting things, because in Malaysia, people kind of dismiss the border issue. But if people want to come to your house, like 3 of us are from Sarawak, when people want to come to Sarawak and do, cannot come, you cannot work there, you know?
Yeah.
But here's a discussion which is very interesting, and I want to get both your reaction on this.
Mr. Homan, your name is on this. Is this correct?
Yes, I signed that memo.
So you are the author of the family separation policy.
I am not the author of this memo.
You're not the author, but you signed the memo.
Yes, a zero tolerance memo.
So you provided the official recommendation to Secretary Nielsen on for the United States to pursue family separation.
I gave Secretary Nielsen numerous recommendations on how to secure the border and save lives.
But it says here that you gave her numerous options, but the recommendation was option 3, family separation.
What I'm saying, this is not the only paper where we've given the Secretary numerous options to secure the border and save lives.
And so the recommendation, of the many that you recommended family separation.
I recommended zero tolerance.
Which includes family separation.
The same as is with every U.S. citizen parent gets arrested when they're with a child.
Zero tolerance was interpreted as the policy that separated children from their
If I get arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to be separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that father
Mr.
from his
Holman,
family.
with all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you're into the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum, you go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
so this is a conversation between AOC and Tom Holman, right? Holman, who is a previous director of ICE. ICE is Immigration Customs Enforcement.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is just one like a macro issue, which I mean, the reason I think, Lyra, you chose this is because generally I think Malaysians don't quite understand why the Americans are so fed up about the borders, right?
Yeah, I mean, because I guess it's like what you say, as in if we only just consume mainstream media, I mean, we won't know the implication at all. I mean, what's so wrong about, I mean, America is a country of migrants. So what are you saying? Like, why are you closing up the borders now? So I guess that's the sort of, I mean, we talk about this election being something that is really, really affecting Malaysia as well. So I mean, we also have like sort of case study where we have like few Palestinians that are coming here, get treatment and things like that. I guess it's like kind of like, I felt like our government is making that sort of, experiment to just test our limit. So I guess, I mean, if we're not careful, we could end up like really, really just having our borders wide open. Hey, anyone just welcome here. So we don't want that as well. So, but the main reason is because I felt like because Trump's appointment nomination has so far been very, I mean, controversial by the standards of liberals. So this is obviously one of them. And I mean, obviously Kamala Harris was the border czar.
Yeah.
So now we have, so I'm kind of like just trying to make
Tom
that sort of
Holman, who is,
comparison. Yeah, so that's really one
zero
of the main
tolerance, right? He
reasons.
said.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what do you think of this? Because like I mean the first time I saw this clip not too long ago is like common sense, right? It's like, well, if you commit crime, he used an example. He used to be a police officer, by the way, Tom Holman, and he said, well, if I drink under influence, I will be separated from my family. If I kill someone, I'll be separated from my family.
Yeah.
Why should illegal migrants be any different? But do you think because for a lot of polls show that for Americans, border issue is like number one, and economy. But before I ask for your reaction, the other thing, suddenly I was just reminded why some people here felt like Trump's economy would not work, because they are like, well, you can't have an economy without cheap labor. And it's like Malaysia, we are addicted to cheap labor. It's like, can you imagine if one day we say, all the Bangladeshi have to go back? I think many industry cannot survive, or we talk about many Burmese need to go back. Most eateries rely on the Myanmar people and things like that. But what do you think of this? You know, like I mean, just generally on law and order, but also the issue of migrant. You know, because migrant can become a big problem for Malaysia if we're not careful. But I think get your comment on this, and we can kind of wrap up already.
The unique thing about borders is that I think last week, even Malaysia was talking about a border between Thailand and Kelantan. So it's like, wow, so
Build a wall, right? I mean, the state government wanted a few million to build a wall.
Correct.
Build a wall.
I was like surprised. Did you learn from Donald Trump? Kelantan Menteri Besar, right?
So from a border being so sensitive and a sensitive word, a triggering word, now it's become like more common sense. And actually listening to this, watching this clip is just some MPs just forget the basic understanding of protection of your own land security, and they just, I'm not sure whether how sincere AOC is, but I doubt she's sincere in sincerely caring for the migrants, because even in our nation, when the Rohingya crisis came about, a lot of people actually pitied them until they cause problems.
Yeah.
And that's where people's eyes start to be open. And I think because the mainstream media have lied for so long regarding migrant issues, and no one dared to actually raise up the issue until Trump came on board. And it just like shook everyone, because everyone was benefiting from illegal migrant, the ruling political parties, drug cartels, customs, immigration, everyone is feeding off this as a result of this negligence that has happened for so long. And once someone comes and just shakes and the order, everyone gets ruffled. And I think we are seeing here is the expression, the manifestation of this long in place measures that actually have been bad for the nation. And now someone just comes to set things in order, and is doing this kind of crazy response.
Now it's very interesting that some people are asking, how would Republican, for example, be benefiting from migrant? Well, the globalists will be benefiting because you get all the cheap labor,
correct.
you get people who are the SP 500, the top listed company. Well, they don't care about the average American. They just care about the top line and bottom line for their company. So, you talk about, that's why it's very interesting. Just a couple of days ago, Walmart started to issue a statement and by saying, well, the tariff will not cause our price to go up. Because the last quarter, apparently Walmart did very well, but Target, their rival, did very badly. So they say this kind of company is a zero-sum game. You don't want to sell, somebody else will sell it for you.
Correct.
So that's the thing. But anyway, David, what's your I mean, there's so many angles to this. But what's your take? I mean, it can be for US, but also maybe some lesson for us here in Malaysia.
I wonder why she is so tolerant for the illegal migrants, because everything is legal. Because she mentioned that they legally blah 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 blah. But after the Homeland say that, but they
It's
illegal,
not legal.
They are not legal.
Then she
This
kept
is
quiet.
like,
Gem.
It's
Yeah.
It's like, why we need to limit the not only limit, we need to jaga the illegal immigrants. It's because this is the for me, it's a common sense of things.
It's common sense, right?
Because back to Sarawak, if we say there are many,
We have very strong borders, right?
Super strong.
so the illegal migrants can come and go, but if they commit crime, who will take responsibility of
They
that?
become citizen.
We never know. So for me, it's weird that you don't jaga them. For me, it's common sense. But of course, you can tolerance that from her perspective. We need to tolerance that kind of that the people they are also human being. But how about the America come before them? They become a citizen. For me, it's common sense. I refer back to the news I watched before. It's the Venezuela illegal immigrants. He's sentenced to life prison. Because he killed someone.
Very recently. The Riley
Laken
case, yes.
So if Malaysia, if some Rohingya illegal migrants do the same thing, can we tolerate or some we are not treat them differently? What about other Chinese or Japanese or American illegal immigrants in Malaysia do the same thing? Even Israel, if Israel kills someone in Malaysia.
Yeah, that's why it's very similar to the Israel-Hamas kind of thing, right? They are like, well, don't you care about the children being killed and things like that? But in the first place, who started October 23? But of course, it is a very sensitive kind of thing in Malaysia, and people don't want to talk about the actual cause and effect and logic. It's just all emotion, right? And I mean, of course, AOC, I mean, to her credit, she didn't try to use emotion, but you can see like she's appealing to the, don't you pity them? Don't you feel they have a right? And Homang is like, no, zero tolerance, because, if I allowed someone in, they could be the next killer and things like that. So, I mean, of course, the other thing we can really talk about, but we don't have time today, is we actually already have case study. Look at Europe. They have open borders for the last 20 years, and now German is like out of control and things like that. So anyway, and Lara, before we end, I know it's like I'm kind of look here and kind of neglected.
No, it's all right.
but maybe you like to kind of conclude for us, because I think time is really running out already. So what do you think? I mean, today, I think it's been very fruitful and interesting, because I really want to you know, like I'm kind of like a bit fed up with arts and entertainment and things like that. So, but just talking to both of you, I can see why. But yeah, any concluding remark from you as we close today's?
No, I mean, I just really like Jared's take. As in, like, entertainment is really to soothe our soul. So I felt like that is the part that is kind of like, it's in there, but it's like long forgotten. So I felt like it's really, I mean, it provides that sort of light on, like, clarity on why people are really, like, I guess even like why Gen Z are really going into social media to like get all these news sources. I mean, there is a part that is wanting to be entertained, but there's also a part where there is like, hey, I also want to know the truth. So I want to go to the platform where it's not censored. So, and also like what David was saying about where Trump literally just utilize and leverage all platforms, which is literally, that is the foundation of America, like the freedom to express, and obviously the freedom to express is not limited to a certain platform. So that's really that part where, because a lot of voters, especially like young male voters, are really shifted because like that Joe Rogan endorsement really like nailed it. So it's really interesting. I guess like we are not yet, as a nation, Malaysia, we are not yet at the state of like maturity whereby we will listen to like long form podcasts where it's like unedited. What are you talking about? Like, but Joe Rogan really did portray that sort of sincerity because he was
3
like
hours,
just wanting to get to know Trump as a person. And he said, actually, I'm also make the same offer to Kamala Harris as well. So I think that is what really make it interesting. And that's why the whole thing is really shifting from where we are getting our news or even opinion from, like just like platforms like The View to podcasts, like this sort of podcast. So I think even, I mean, Kamala Harris also tried to do it with Call Me Daddy.
Call me Daddy.
Yeah, but it wasn't really appealing because I guess they didn't really do that sort of analytical stacks and things like that, and went for female rather than male. I mean, not to say that there should be that sort of hierarchy. It's just that I guess a lot of people, I guess men are created to be really like the breadwinner. So I think that's the part that we have not really. I mean, in an era where we're just bombarded with DEI for so long, diversity, equality and inclusivity, we're like just sort of get used to like, hey, everything must be equal. But honestly, not everything. I mean, women can be very good in like household sort of area, and they are best at that area, and no one is complaining about it. And men are generally like greater in a lot of ways, like sports and things like that. So I guess it's like that sort of narrative have been so tilted. And I guess it's really that portion where we again really just going back to common sense and really like what is the order of the society. So I think why Trump's second term is really going to be so interesting, because what he's doing is like, hey, no more to lawlessness, no more to like lack of common sense, and I'm just instilling common sense.
Common sense back.
So I guess that's where the wisdom in the conventional is really coming back.
Interesting. Well, so our time is kind of run out already, but I just want to kind of give my final take. Right? I mean, it's like just a very simple one. I mean, in the end, I think Trump won because he worked harder. It's that simple. I mean, he used all the social media, and he's not preachy, and he's authentic. That's why he wins.
And he even went on CNN. For the
debate.
You know,
So to be a slaughter.
A slaughterhouse, you know, and wow.
And in fact, do you know a lot of his fans criticize him for not being combative enough? He was very restrained.
Very different from.
But he chose it, and people are like, "Where's your energy?" and things like that. But he doesn't want to get into that game. People wanted him to go back to 2016 form where he called, crooked Hillary and things like that. So, but I guess he's maturing and he's deploying the right tactic.
Yes, correct.
So I think that's all the time we had today. It has been very interesting. So David Tian and Jared. Now, we're going to put your social media handle here also so people can reach out to you if they want to. So we hope we can get you back again and talk about different topics, because, I mean, if this is the era of having open discussion, we should have more of this, right? Okay, so I think that's all we have for today.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.